Well, evening, good morning, good afternoon. Couple of population, some fishery here. Right. Today, I thought I'd talk about something I don't really talk about that often. I think now's as good a time as any. See what I mean? what are you talking about? Is your next question. What are you going to be talking about? Probably what you're talking about is the next thing that you say. Considering what it is. I'm going to talk to you about what I believe is happening right now. The purpose of these injections. What I've concluded. What I believe we're living through. See, over time, when you're actually looking into this kind of stuff, as I've always said, spirituality comes into it at some instance, and continuously you veer away from it, looking at something else, and it'll bring you back round again to it at some point or other. Always does, without fail. But this spirituality, it alters your perceptions of it, alter your view on certain religions, especially the institutional ones. It's irrevocably changed. Once you realise that all the institutionalised religions, Islam, Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, they're all a tool in which to control the twisted, misjudged, misinterpreted, deliberately sometimes, damaged version of what a religion should be. We're also bombarded constantly and unconsciously, we don't even know it's being done, on a vibrational and frequency level that's incredible, through shape, sounds, form, words. Everything you see is attuned to a certain frequency. See, sound plays an unbelievable role in everything. There's a far deeper. Oh, fuck's sake. Now, sound, obviously, obviously to anyone with a functioning brain, it's just another form of frequency, tuned to a specific frequency to make a certain tone. But all frequency is sound. Sound is frequency, frequency is sound, it's just vibration. You need to cause vibrations to generate that sound in the first place. Now each shape, word, number all has a specific tone that it creates. If we could hear all the sub-frequencies, all the high-pitched frequencies, infrasound frequencies, there'd be a cacophony of sound all around you, generate from everything from logos, signs, words. They all evoke a certain sort of feeling inside you sometimes, guide you in a certain way, bind you even more. All dependent on what that tone or frequency is. used to use books to do this. Them too generate a frequency and read certain words, certain combinations in a certain rhythm. Again, that affects you further. This is known by those in control, hidden from us, and I hope that we don't find out.
First time I saw sonoluminescence was in a darkened room. I was transfixed to look at this spherical flask of fluid, and you look into the center, and in the center see a glowing blue-purple light, which could be seen with the unaided eye. It looked like a star in the heavens.
Seth Putterman called it the star in a jar, a tiny spot of bright light contained in a flask of liquid. This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star. What made the phenomenon so exciting was the temperature of this star in a jar. On its surface alone, the light burns at tens of thousands of degrees. And Seth Putterman now contemplated a tantalizing possibility. Could the core of the collapsing bubble be even hotter? Hot enough for fusion?
One of the mysteries of sonoluminescence is to determine exactly how hot the interior of the bubble gets. In the sun, the interior can be millions of degrees, hot enough to cause fusion. And the thought crossed my mind that perhaps inside the collapsing bubble, the interior of the bubble might also get hot enough to cause fusion.
If so, this would be something truly amazing. By simply bombarding tiny bubbles with sound waves, temperatures of over 10 million degrees would be created. And nuclear fusion, the same reaction that powers the sun, would be happening almost effortlessly here on Earth.
Now, as you can see from that little clip there, we're so desperate to hide this from us, it actually changed the frequency of the musical scale. To make sure everyone knows. And I keep telling you about the deception that's been placed over us. I don't think a lot of you get it. A lot of people don't. That's understandable. It's complicated and strange things to conceptualise. That everything you see around you is a lie. Kind of makes you sound paranoid, you know what I mean? But this is because the religious teachings that we were left with and that were then hoarded by the elite, by the system, really, because that's what they are, system. taught us everything we are. And they twisted it, inverted it, damaged it, like I said, misinterpreted it, all of it, in order to force a sort of spiritual amnesia upon us. And all these symbols, numbers, words that are used are to further anchor us to that materialistic side of thinking, side of knowing, and to this plane.
Not be denied is the fact that over 5,000 years ago, a mathematical system was born that incredibly still serves us today. So now that we have our various units of measurement, all based on the Sumerian 1260 counting system, let's jump forward to a few pivotal moments in history and see what other numbers, patterns, and synchronicities appear. In the 6th century BC, on the Greek island of Samos, the famed mathematician Pythagoras led a school of thought that married philosophy, mathematics, music, and of course geometry. And while Pythagoras did not discover advanced geometry, he did apply it in new ways, especially to music. For instance, he noticed that when a tauten string was plucked, it would create a tone. And when that string was divided in half, it would make the same tone only twice as high in pitch. Pythagoras then came up with numerical ratios based on harmonic fifths, and this led to the creation of the musical scale found at the root of most modern music. It is important to note that according to Pythagoras, all musical notes were found by using mathematics, and as such were given number values according to their placement in a kind of master grid. For instance, by using fifths beginning from note number 1, he was eventually guided to note 27. And to find the same note twice as high in pitch, he simply kept doubling it to 54, 108, 216, 432, and so on up the scale. If you've ever heard of Pythagorean tuning, you know that the number 432 is quite important. To Pythagoras himself, it probably wouldn't have stood out more than any other in his numerical grid. But in our quest to find a universal language based on mathematics and frequency, this particular note represents a significant piece of coincidental evidence. You see, many ancient musical instruments, from Tibetan bowls to Native American flutes, happen to produce the same tone, a tone that vibrates at 432 cycles per second. That's compelling, but even more intriguing is the fact that Pythagoras was not calculating vibration cycles to find tone 432. It just happens to be the same number. What's more, most modern musical instruments were also tuned to this same fourth octave A, with a value of 432 cycles. How could this be? Who chose this particular note as the keystone for instrument tuning, and more importantly, why? Here is where a deeper mystery begins to emerge, and to explore it we will need to go back to Pythagoras' other passion, geometry. It is not an exaggeration to say that to Pythagoras and his disciples, geometry and math held a key to the nature of all life everywhere, and maybe it does. Let's look at the first 4 geometric shapes, the circle, triangle, square, and pentagon. In each of them are angles of degrees that when added together always total a specific number relative to that particular shape. For instance, if we take a triangle, the sum total of all 3 interior angles is always 180. For both the square and circle it is 360. For a pentagon it is 540. Now at this moment, let's step back and look at these numbers in a different way, as there seems to be something about them that reaches beyond it happen to be in the same numerical neighborhood as tone 432. What's more, they all add up to 9, just like 432. As an experiment, let's take a look at the numbers found in basic geometric shapes, then apply those numbers as vibration cycles to hear the tones they produce. First, let's listen to what the 180 total degrees contained in a triangle sound like. And here's a squares and circles 360 in cycles per second. A per from the triangle. What about the pentagon at 540? That sounds like a harmonic fifth of the other two. That's interesting. What are these tones? They are F sharp and its perfect harmonic fifth of C sharp. Let's keep going. What does a hexagon 720 sound like? Another F sharp. Here's a 7-sided septagon, which totals 900. This is an A sharp, which happens to be the note required to complete an F sharp major chord in perfect 3-part harmony. And finally the octagon, where we get 1080, another C sharp. Suddenly, geometry is expressed by tones, and these tones just happen to create the most beautiful form of music, a perfect 3-part major chord in the key of F sharp. Is this something we've been missing for years? Is it important?
You see this almost viscous amalgam of vibrational soup that we walk around, live and breathe constantly in. It's all to sever our connection with whatever higher being you want. You know, invoke is all the same. They do this because the beings that instigated all this, that started all this, was summoned by us millennia ago when we began to get too cocky, too sure of ourselves, too complacent, I think, egotistical, vain, everything that we are now. This all led to us thought states, beings from the abyss, from the deep, dark reaches of reality. Essentially our ancestors would sort of talk of technological improvements that on the outset seemed beneficial, but in reality was just another form of control. Once we realised what was happening, it was too late. We'd already started taking over. Began to install engineered sort of monstrosities, is what they are, that look like us, breathe like us, talk like us, but in reality are far from us. We were fooled into believing that they were our betters. That gave them the right to rule. As those very same beings from the abyss went into a slumber. So we had the technological capability to create something that would bring them here and keep them here. Because without it, they'd have to go back. And they don't want to go back. So this entire control mechanism, vibration, frequency, on every level, is born from and maintained by a single bloodline now. It's still pure, still the purest. But looks upon us with jealousy, contempt and fear. We fear because they fear. If they weren't fearful, neither will we be. To project everything that is wrong with them onto us in various ways. And again, they do this all to control us. people that they co-opt to help them are fooled into thinking that they're equal. Nothing could be further from the truth. They don't see them as equal, they see them as a tool. It's a means to an end. And they will get exactly the same fate as everyone else if these sadistic psychopaths are allowed to fulfill their goal. But this severance from our higher self, or whatever you want to call it, it's a slow process. These people are anything but patient. The Bible goes on about second coming. The Quran goes on about second coming. Judean faith goes on about second coming. And everyone's expecting a man or a woman, a human being, to be that second coming. And that's not it. We, us, the awakened, are the second coming. All of us, collected together, all ascending at once, is the second coming. The Antichrist, the serpent, is what's being injected into everybody. The serpent represents a mRNA coil, yeah? mRNA strand. The two of them, the caduceus, are DNA strands, right? That's why it was picked. It is not a satanic symbol, the caduceus. It's a very misinterpreted kind of symbol. The caduceus is your DNA. The serpent, that old dragon, the Antichrist, the beast, is you if you've been injected. That's what John saw when he was writing the book of Revelation. Or it was, the vision of that was given to him. It's the only way he could describe it. Several of you have noticed some people have profoundly changed since having the jab. This will only accelerate and worsen the more jabs you have. The ultimate goal is to turn you into a controllable automaton, a living automaton. A prisoner of your own mind, unable to control your actions or your body, doing things without even realising it. With your soul, your spirit, your psyche imprisoned within you, unable to shout, scream or protest in any way, and unable to stop what's being done and what it's doing. This is the final end result of all these shots. Those that survived them. They know full well not everyone's going to. It will literally turn them into a vessel, and that's it. A vessel controllable only by them, not by you. And you'll be sat behind your eyes watching the whole thing unfold without a damn thing you can do about it. This is what I've been hiding for so long from a lot of people. It's why I give vague answers a lot of the time. I'll try and change the subject, push it in a different direction. I mean, they know I know, and I know that they know I know, and they know that I know that I know that they know I know. If you get me. But they lead me to it because I sound crazy. Maybe in some respects I am. I still don't stop it being true though. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. See you next time.
Thank you.